Hey guys, Troll 9002. It is 1:26 a.m. on 12/7/2020. This weekend has been outstandingly awesome and full. We had our craft festival on Saturday in the lighted parade. Saturday night, which I got to spend with everybody, but my brother unfortunately had to work. But everybody else was there, the boys, the girls, my sister-in-law, my mom, my dad. It was wonderful. My dad accompanied me to the craft fair, which last year I went alone. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's a lot of fun. I got to introduce him to Bayou Billy's, which they have humongous cups. And this time it wasn't the soda people, but they had really good sweet tea. And you best believe this girl had 32 ounces of sweet tea. So, I missed a week last week. I think I'm just going to do every other weekend because it's very hectic right now between work and trying to get this stuff done. Can you believe there's two Saturdays left until Christmas? Can you believe that? Or 3 Mondays. Because until I get up in the morning or afternoon, it's not Monday to me, even though it's 1:27 a.m. Anyway, so tonight's story, I caution you already. It's 7 pages long, so it's going to be a long one. You might want to, if you feel like it, just go ahead and half it yourself if you want. But I call it Comforty Soft. Christmas is more than just a word. It's a time of year that we should be doing things that we can volunteer for and help serve. This is the time of year a lot of people are hurting due to one loss or another. It is the season that we meet our fashionista Abigail, who likes to be called Abby for short. Abby always has clothing to spare, always lending to friends and family or giving it away. A crazy girl would buy outfits for an occasion that she would never have a reason to wear again. But she'd hang on to them because eventually, maybe one day, she'd need it or wear it. And it happened on several occasions that she'd buy one piece of an outfit, like a shirt or something, get it home, and it would match perfectly with something else she had gotten long ago. No one makes anymore, or the brand went belly up. Abby liked to do most of her clothing shopping in thrift stores, but it was hard because plus size clothing goes really fast, or we the plus size never give up our clothes, just in case we get back down to a size that we can once again fit into. Our favorite clothing vicious cycle. I know, but it's how we are most of the time. I guess I could be speaking for myself, but I'll just go out on that generality. Anywho, Black Friday weekend, of course. Abby has an outfit for Black Friday. It's adorable. Not quite Christmas, but it's black with a little bit of Christmas on it. She got all dressed up just to stay home to make a point to her nephews, just because everybody's acting a fool, snatching things from other people and being selfish, all over a possibly saved almighty dollar. You didn't have to go out and spend money if you didn't want to. Her point was, don't get caught up in the moment. That is how you lose a lot of two things: money and storage space. Abby waited till Small Business Saturday to go out, but this year the hard time she was having was many of the small businesses in town were closed on the weekend, which she thought was awesome, but she didn't have time during the week to pop in. So she ended up at the thrift store again. Abby could spend hours in there with ideas of upcycling things into other things and turning clothing into costumes and a lot of other creative things. At work, Abby had to hide her creative side because her fellow co-workers would like her ideas, then steal them and take credit. No matter, she just liked her ideas in motion. Karma would get those people, not her circus to follow. As Abby was nearing the end of her trip to the thrift store, she always ended up in the clothing section just in case there was a lot of stuff to be had. She didn't have to carry it all around the store. Yes, there is a strategy to it. You gotta do it. This day of Small Business Saturday, Abby found this amazing Christmas dress. At first she didn't get her hopes up. I mean, it probably wasn't her size anyway, but then she looked, it was her size. Then she still didn't want to get excited about it because it was probably astronomically priced. No. This day, as an incentive, it was 50% off clothing all day. And that made the price perfect for Abby. She snatched it up real quick, added it to the other things she held tightly in her arms as she checked out. The woman behind the counter noticed a little stain on the dress that Abby hadn't noticed. It was fine. Abby knew how to fix it. but the woman behind the counter gave her a deeper discount on the price. You couldn't beat that. At least they didn't have to quibble. Traffic was pretty bad, but was great, and that meant that small businesses that were open were getting the business they needed. It made her very tired, so she headed home. After getting home, Abby's nephews helped her with her treasures, and they found they weren't into thrift shopping, but they loved helping her upcycle the bigger items because she would give them a percentage of the profit. Just moving the pieces sometime was a lot of work for Abby. Abby played the she laid the clothing out in the laundry room. As she laid out the dress that was lined with the sequin gems and all the things that made it very shiny, more than likely Abby would wear it for New Year's rather than Christmas, only because of all the sparkly. Everyone should look like a disco ball on New Year's Eve, right? There was no washing instructions left to read on the tags. They were too faded. As she prepped it to go into the washer, she noticed the spot the clerk had pointed out had gotten bigger, and it was different color. Since the dress was red and green and with an ugly sweater kind of look to it, those were the best kind, usually had plenty of room to add to them. That is why the stain didn't matter. Abby hit it with a pre-wash treatment stuff to try and lighten the stain. Nothing seemed to be working. Well, moving on, Abby threw it in the washer and was prepared to let the washer beat the stain out of it with the agitator. It had worked in the past. While she waited for her washer to finish, Abby worked on finishing other things like wrapping the toys for Tots, filling the shoe boxes, and making her costume for the Charles Dickens Festival. When finally the washer was done, she pulled out the dress. It had turned a whole different shade. No longer was it red and green, but it was an icy color blue. The whole dress, an icy color blue. Not just one shade of blue, but multiple shades of blue. Kind of like stained glass window color configuration, but all blue. Huh, she said to herself. Well, whatever. Moving on. There was still a spot on the dress, though. But Abby just used her crafting savvy and covered it with a snowflake. This actually worked out well because there was a dance that was to take place that night. Abby didn't usually make time to appear at the dance, as it was annual, and she didn't usually bother with it because all the people of the town would be there, and it was a small town, so people who gave you a hard time or bullied you from elementary all the way through high school would be there spouting the same hate and the blah that they always did to preserve brain cells. Abby just stayed away. She was a self-reliant, didn't need anybody ever at least kind of girl. This year's theme was big hats, big hair, and no one had to care. Just as Abby was going to leave to go to the party, her nephews decided they would accompany their aunt. They were dressed and ready to go. Their hats were so big you could almost mistake them for pimps. But they all were coordinated in blue, and off they drove to town. A few candy drops later, they arrived at the party. At first, it wasn't so bad. Everyone was professional, and the music was good, and people were there for fun and good kind of spirited. So Abby was comfy at her table. She didn't come with no one there, so she didn't expect to dance with anybody, but she did dance a few jigs by herself, including one slow dance. Abby started that one by herself, but she did not end it that way. There was an old classmate that used to tease the crap out of Abby that stepped up while she was swaying with her eyes closed, just swaying along with the song. She felt someone slip their hand into hers and another hand around her back. That was totally professional, and Abby decided just to go with it. She didn't open her eyes. Rather, she just let the stranger talk to her, and the song seemed to last forever as they danced. Thankfully, it was one that was extended for the radio, so it was a radio mix. And just before the song ended, the stranger dipped her, and then was gone. Never having opened her eyes, Abby had no idea who she had danced with, and that was okay. The feeling she had in her body and in her heart was enough to melt the blue color from her dress. But it didn't make a mess. It was like one of those fiber optic jackets that just switched to another color and another color after that. But this color, the dress was finally decided on emerald green. Abby felt like she was wearing an Uno card as it changed color, and she was ready to go home to figure out what happened to her dress, and hope that whoever danced with her would do it again sometime. Abby liked to dance. She took some classes, but nothing ever came of it. As she remembered how, and even though salsa was her favorite, when you're dancing with someone who won't lead you, the slow sway is the best way to go. The boys were ready to go too, so she threw the nephews into the car and asked them how they did. They had ended up striking out at the dance. Though they had a good time, they were bored and ready to go. So it was a good thing she threw them in the car. As they drove home, everybody reminiscing on the night, Abby already was still stuck in her own thoughts of how lovely the evening had been. And it was with that same attitude that her and the nephews came home and decorated their tree. It was about 2 weeks till Christmas, and they honestly pondered whether or not to even bother. Every year it seemed to be worse and worse, like pulling teeth to get participation in the event that used to draw the whole family in. But several quibbles between family members and things that Abby hadn't ever gotten into, but somehow she was the one that got shunned. And then, when her nephews got up and decided to come live with her, that was the nail in the coffin. She was cut off. You see, even though their parents always talked smack about their Aunt Abby, they watched her actions and knew better. They loved her for who and how she was. Next day, Abby wanted to look at her green dress again. When she put it away the night before, it was emerald green, and now it had changed color yet again. That is when the call came in. Abby liked to help out, as you could tell. So much to do in this time of year. Often she would play an elf or reindeer or something else, but this time the call was for a Claus. No, not Santa, but Santa's wife. Holy cow! She'd always wanted to play Santa's wife, but how did the dress change color into red? Abby reported for duty quick, fast, and in a hurry. After all, it was for a local group of kids. Abby had a blast that day. Every kid was seen and given a present which warmed Abby's heart. And the Mr. Claus, well, he had a talent for playing his part too. After the kids were on to their next adventure in the reindeer petting zoo, Santa asked Mrs. Claus to dance just for fun, and there was salsa music playing in the restaurant next door. Abby jumped at the chance to salsa dance with a partner instead of by herself, and that's when Santa started to lead, so Abby could relax and just let it happen. I know, I say that a lot, but the only time I could dance right without messing up was if I was being led correctly and I stopped thinking. Seriously, I had to stop thinking to dance. I just couldn't think and dance at the same time. It was 2 weeks after my class started that my instructor figured it out for both of us. When Santa took Abby's hand, she knew the touch in an instant. It was the same guy from the dance. She looked right into his eyes, which were a cobalt blue. The most beautiful eyes you could look at and stare into. They talked, and she said, "Well, it's good to dance with you again, only this time, can I have your name?" "Certainly, Mrs. Claus, since we will more than likely be spending so much more time together. This season, my name is William." "And what is yours?" "Oh, I'm Abby," she said. "It was very kind of you to dance with me at the holiday swing dance." "Oh, that's just me being me," William replied, in kind. And Abby said, "Why didn't you tell me your name was then? You just left me hanging." "It was okay. I was okay with that. But, out of curiosity, what's with that?" William said, "Well, I'm new in town. I just moved about a week ago. People already talk weird about me, like I'm some kind of outsider." In an instant, Abby knew what he was talking about. "You should talk to my nephews. I can't tell you how long this place treated them like that." Long after the music stopped playing, William and Abby kept dancing, and the subject changed several times. It finally ended with William asking Abby to dinner on Friday night. Sadly, Abby had to work, so she offered a rain check or haggle to another day. William was so busy this time of year, and so was Abby, so they agreed to meet the following weekend for dinner and volunteering. And as Abby walked to her car, the dress changed yet again, only this time it turned into a holly leaf pattern on a white background. It was cute. Abby used to have a lounger dress that looked like it. It belonged to her sister. It had been 3 years since her sister had left town for good, leaving the boys with Abby. and never making contact again. Abby wasn't mad about it. She loved her nephews. So the fact that the pattern emerged made her think that she was thinking of her sister. Finally, Abby understood that the dress was a mood dress. As hard as she tried, she still couldn't figure out how it changed color from the one spot in the middle without being touched, or how it knew to turn into another color, or how it knew what color she needed before she needed it. After a few more times of playing different characters with the dress, not just Christmas characters, but other ones, the dress started to wear out, and I mean, the seams started to come undone, and no matter how hard Abby tried to repair it, nothing seemed to help it. Broke her heart when the day came that she finally was unable to repair the dress, and Abby finally manned up and tossed it in the trash. Not only did it still have the original spot on it that Abby assumed is what changed its color, but she had undergrown it. It was too big for her. She had lost a lot of weight since she had married William. They danced every night. He was a great supportive man, one that Abby would have always wondered if they existed or not, if they would ever find her in that small town. It was like I said with a broken heart that she threw the dress out in the trash can and watched it get toted off to the dump. It took a few days, but all was well. But in tossing the dress, it empowered Abby to finally let go of all the other stuff in the house, and soon it was like a new house, William and Abby's house. Abby had her craft room, William had his music room, and the nephews lived with Abby long into their 30s, which was fine with Abby. Eventually they did move out, but Abby and William would always have each other, and the year they found each other was utterly strange, awkward, slow dance. That ended in a dip. On a sad note, Abby was never able to find plus-size clothing in her local thrift stores again, which was okay because she didn't need them anymore. Sometimes giving things a second chance, like a dress with a satin in it or upcycling thrift store furniture into something else to be used for another purpose, or giving people a second chance at a dance, whether you know it or not, will change you. Be strong, my friends. This is Troll 9002, signing off for another week. Hope to catch you in a live stream or somewhere else on the tubes. And remember, tomorrow starts December. We can do it. Stay strong, we got this. Hope to catch you on the next page turn. If you like it, let me know. If you hated it, please tell me. You can leave a comment, thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever you want to do. However you feel led. But remember, I do love reading y'all's comments because you're so creative. I get a kick out of most of them. Or just one sometimes. I always respond. Thank you for partaking in my channel. I hope you enjoy this story today. Good night, good luck, and remember, we got this. Take care.